Why is it that it's easy for us to see the solution or an alternative reality in somebody else's life, but it's so hard for us to do that in our own?
And now for something completely different.
Welcome to
Surrounded by Idiots
Radio Podcast.
From the warm southwestern United States of America, this is the Surrounded by Idiots Radio Podcast. Hi to everybody out there across the globe. This is Tony Dufresne, PhD, your host. And I want to start the show off by saying that I don't want it to seem like I'm whistling past the graveyard here, but I need to move on a little bit past the idiocy and the surreal nature of our current political and virus reality, and just pivot a little bit to talk about more of the things we used to talk about in regards to tools and techniques to shift perspective and to make your lives a little bit better every single day. The Black Lives Matter, the coronavirus, the nonsense political situation that's happening, all of those need our attention, and we need to keep our foot pressed down on the pedal to make things happen and to make the changes that need to be made. I have to take a brief reprieve from the SS existential cruise that I've been on and pivot more towards something that's going to be helpful not only to you, but to me. And it all comes down to an experience that I had just a couple days ago. Now, right now, I'm in the middle of doing an extension off of my tattoo on my shoulder towards the back, and I wanted to put a leukemia survivor butterfly and ribbon on there because of my daughter from last year, and she's doing great, and she's cancer-free. So I was sitting in the chair, and my tattoo artist is just a great lady. And over 4 hours, you can talk about a lot of stuff, and you end up kind of digressing off of into different things. And the subject came up about my clientele base and about really what I do when it comes down to it. But it did occur to me that most of my clients come in with basically the same problem. And the problem is that they are frustrated where they're at and they don't know how to make that transition. Essentially, they're stuck and they don't have a solution. And the answer to all of that is one of those simple but complex situations, and it has to do with shifting perspective and expectations. So when they come in and we start talking and that's actually what their problem is, the first thing I ask them is this. Let's say you are on vacation at your favorite beach or tropical spot, and you have this little out-of-the-way beach that you go to. And there's not a ton of people. It's kind of small, but it's out of the way. And it is the most beautiful, gorgeous place that you've ever been. You are at peace with yourself. It is full zen to you. It's the one place that you go as your happy place the entire year. And now you are there. And it's a 5-minute car ride. So you pile in the car. You get to the parking area, which really isn't much of a parking area. It's kind of, a few spaces here and there because it's a pretty rustic little out-of-the-way place. And come to find out there's 3 cars or 4 cars in the parking lot because it's not like nobody knows about it. It's a pretty cool place. And there's one parking spot left. And it just happens to be in front of this ugly blue dumpster. And for some reason or another, the dumpster hasn't been emptied in quite some time. And this thing is overflowing and there's flies around it. And it's a mess. It's ugly. It smells. And the only place you can park is right in front. So you pull in because you want to go to your beach. And you're sitting there. And of course, in your mind, for the whole year, you see your beautiful, pristine place of peace. This thing that creates this harmony within you. And now all of a sudden, it's got this ugly blue trash-filled fly-infested dumpster. So you're sitting in your car and all you see and all you're focusing on is this ugly dumpster and you're pissed. You're pissed because it's ruining your experience, or you're pissed because you can't believe that somebody hasn't dumped out this dumpster in this beautiful, amazing place. So you're at your beautiful beach, but you continue to sit in the car focusing on that stupid, ugly, stinky dumpster. Now, does the beach and the dumpster exist in that same reality? Are they both like there? Well, of course they are. So the question I have is this: why are you still in the damn car worried about or pissed off that somebody hasn't emptied the dumpster? Why haven't you gotten out of your car, fought through the cloud of flies, grabbed your chair, and gone to your amazing, peaceful Zen place, which is like 8 steps behind you? It's a rhetorical question, but that is what happens in situations in life. We have expectations that something's going to happen. We have some sort of a plan in place to where it's going to take us to a place where we have in our mind that's going to be fulfilling, or it's going to be in a different place, or it's going to be more, you're going to be more successful, or you're going to have a better relationship. And you take that drive, and it ends up to where that parking spot is in front of this ugly ass dumpster. So you are pissed. Who are you pissed at? Probably yourself, I would think, as well as you're pissed at whomever it was responsible for emptying the dumpster. The fascinating thing is you're at your beach, and all you have to do is make a subtle shift in your actions, or in this case, in your focus, which is to get out of your car and take a walk over to your beach. The dumpster will always be there, but it's not the reason that you're there, and it doesn't provide the pure potentiality of that area. The beach is not defined by that ugly dumpster. That's the block that you've come up against. That's the wild card that's happened that you weren't planning on, that you weren't expecting. So instead of realizing that you're at the beach and then just get out of the car and take your walk, you continue to focus on the block, the obstacle. And then you get upset because it's there. And that takes all of your energy. And you're so upset about it that you don't just step out and walk over to where you want to go, because you have a choice. Again, the dumpster and the beach both exist in your reality. The block that you're faced up against right now is in the same reality and has the same potential as the solution that you haven't seen yet, because you're focused on that particular problem, because you're upset that you're up against it, or you're upset that it's there for some reason or another. So, of course, that's a rhetorical question, and people usually go, oh, okay, well, I get that. That metaphor makes sense. So then I do a follow-up question with them, and I say, so how is it that if a friend comes to you and they start talking about a similar situation to that, and you're sitting there listening, and you can go, oh, wait a minute, why are you doing this when you can just do this? Why is it that it's easy for us to see the solution or an alternative reality in somebody else's life, but it's so hard for us to do that in our own? It's a very simple answer. It'll piss you off probably, but nonetheless, it's because that obstacle is more real to us. We own it more, and it's also tied to a lot of subconscious ego patterns that support the things that keep us stuck. Let me explain. You have a situation to where your whole life you're trying to get past this whole thing where you've always felt that you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or somebody's told you that you're not good looking enough, or that you will never have a good relationship, or you were around situations to where the relationships were toxic, or you were around situations to where you had to be the one to make things okay and all right and good. And it was never about you. It was always about making sure everybody else was happy, and you put yourself second, third, or 18th on the list. Well, all that stuff still stays in the back of your mind. And as much as you want to fight past it, as much as you're trying to fight past it in your actions and in your conscious thoughts, it's still there, and it will present itself, especially when you try to expand out of your bubble and become more fulfilled in certain ways and take small risks here and there, which is essentially driving to that beach. You're trying to get to that beach, and you're getting there, and when you get there, then there's that dumpster. What the dumpster signifies is all of those things that support the fact that you're not successful, right? So the dumpster is there, and the thing you think about when you see that obstacle is, you know what? I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to be at this beach. But subconsciously, you're still fighting that ego thing of you don't deserve it. And that's why you're sitting there ruminating or pissed off at that stupid trash container versus just saying, hey, I'm here and I'm going to pivot and open up the car door and grab my chair and I'm going to go to the beach. That's why it's so tough for us to get past certain things like that, because we have an ownership deep down inside of us that's very ego-based and very strong, because all the ego wants to do is it wants to keep you stuck. It wants to keep you in a place of safety, which means that it doesn't like expanding at all and taking those risks and stepping out of that secure bubble that's been built around you over your whole life. Sadly, the bubble is an absolute dumpster fire because it consists of all those ego patterns that keep you down, that say you're not good enough or you're not smart enough or you can't do this or you can't do that. And you're trying to break out of that. So do you see the dilemma that's going on in your own mind? And that's why it's a lot easier when somebody comes to you as a friend and they have these situations. You can see things because you don't have any cloud around your head. You have very clear vision of their alternatives and their reality and their chance to pivot one way or the other off of just looking at this stupid trash container. So that brings us to the call to action on this, and really the solution, the things that you can use in order to understand where you're at, in order to understand what's keeping you there, and then also to figure out how to pivot off of that and to shift your perspective to move forward in your life instead of being stuck. The first thing is, when you feel yourself frustrated, when you feel yourself reach that level of hopelessness, when you feel yourself stuck or pissed because you're unwilling to move past a certain point, I would like you to visualize being at your favorite place in the world and pulling up in a rental car, or your car if your favorite place is, down the street, and realizing that the only place to park is in front of that ugly dumpster. Now, I want you to think, is this all that there is? Does this dumpster define everything around me? Does it take away the happy place that is right behind me or just to the side of me, the reason why I came here? The answer is no. It's a component and it's something that you have to deal with that's in front of you, but it doesn't define your entire reality. The beach still exists. You have to make the pivot to get out of the car and to see the beach. You have to take those actions. It's called a pattern interrupt. You're interrupting that pattern in your brain that's going to keep you stuck based upon what you believe is the only reality, right? So the first thing is, hey, wait a minute. This is a sucky parking spot. This dumpster sucks. I can't believe nobody's emptied the thing. It makes no sense. And then, boom, pattern interrupt. 10 or 15 seconds out of that, then go, okay, now I got to get out of the car and go to the place I want to go. That's the first thing. You have to realize that you've parked in front of that dumpster and you're pissed. That's the first thing. The second part is what I like to call the friend trick. And the friend trick is essentially just what I talked about a little earlier in regards to you being able to see the realities of your friend more than on yourself. The trick is this. Pretend like your friend is having the same issues as you are, the exact same. And pretend they've asked you to come over and listen to their story. When you do that, you are taking yourself out of your ego. You are disarming that risk that your ego feels it is taking and displacing it onto this imaginary person. When you do that, you are able to see things, you are able to conceptualize things much better and less restrictive than as if you were trying to do it on your own. And you will be able to see your opportunities. You'll be able to see the ways you can make those subtle perspective shifts a lot easier than if you just try to battle it inside of yourself. It's a very effective tool to create a greater sense of awareness and clarity in regards to the things that are keeping you stuck. And then once you do that, then you can make small incremental changes or make a quick change in that perspective shift to start working your way towards where you want to go instead of being stuck in front of the dumpster. Because, I mean, come on, you went all year looking forward to going to this place. You saved up your money. You made small sacrifices. This is the one place that makes you whole, that keeps you alive, and you get there. Why are you sitting in front of the stupid dumpster? It happens all the time, and I'm sure that you've done it. I know I've done it too. So remember, it's a pattern interrupt in terms of if a situation comes up like this, see in your mind that you were parked in front of that blue dumpster. The second thing is take that problem and put it into an imaginary friend. Then see it from your perspective as helping somebody else. That way you disarm your ego, and it's a lot easier to see all the positive opportunities you have that you may not be able to see right now because you're focused on the stupid blue dumpster. That's it for this week. I hope you're good. Please stay safe and stay well. I've got the Amazon Alexa flash briefings. You can go to Surrounded by Idiots in the skills section. The second thing I want to say is I am going to be transitioning into a more specific niche here towards the beginning of the year. And the niche will be more on empowering professional women. I'm still going to be doing the show, but I feel as though the culmination of my work and most of my clientele base is really in that demographic, and I'm going to be focusing more and more on that. And you may see that some of the themes or some of the topics that I do talk about in the remaining 3 or 4 months that we have are going to be more focused towards that. I hope you stay tuned, even if you're not a 25 or 24 to 38-year-old professional woman, because I'm going to try to continue for the topics to be universal, maybe a little more focused on the niche, but nevertheless. So that's what's going to be happening. I will let you know more and more about it as it goes along, but I'm very much looking forward to niching that and creating a whole new coaching program to empower professional women moving forward, especially after all the craziness that's been going on and the fact that 20 million jobs have been lost and things have just been shooken up, and it's sort of a different world now than we had a year ago. You can go to javabud.com for the podcast and YouTube for the videos. It's The Java Bud. If there's any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to email me. It's tony@javabud.com, JAVABUD. I also have my audiobook that I just got put on Audible. So if you want to go to Amazon, go to Audible, you can get that. If you don't have Audible, if you don't want to pay I think it's pretty expensive. And I'm sorry, I made a mistake and I just put it on there as an exclusive sale because I'm an idiot and I didn't realize that I was doing that. So if you want a copy of my audiobook and you're listening to this right now, because we're still a nice little group here, please just email me and I will send you a link to the entire audiobook. It's the Surrounded by Idiots audio version. That is it for me for this week. Again, be good to yourself. Be good to other people. Let's make this a better place. Let's fight all this nonsense that's going on with some good positivity and with some good energy. I will talk to you next week. Bye.